we're gonna start with bolstering their feet and then go to some head cues. I just want to point out that because we talked about people tend to laterally walk duck-footed, they'll a lot of times present in a laterally rotated position when they first, that's kind of like their comfort zone. We're gonna need to take them out of kind of a constrained position and be able to expose more of their canvas so that we can work on more of their body. And it's gonna be much, much healthier and happier on their knee. So imagine he's kind of laterally rotated. We're gonna first just bring him to like an athletic stance. So I'm gonna internally rotate the top of the foot, bring the knee just behind the femur, get this all lined up and beautiful. Same thing, if we need to coax the knee, we can do a feather hand. Even my forearm is helping coax. They'll try to obviously help you, but the more we can kind of move slow, the more it can translate to them to let go. And I'll do one more feather stroke all the way up to the knee, and I'm gonna come all the way to the back of the tibia and lift up the backs of the feet with my forearm, and then take the top of the foot in my palm. That liberates my left arm to then slowly slide under. I come a little more perpendicular, and I just lift it up a little bit, not a lot, just a little, so that I can drag, drag, drag. Slow lower, I stay with him, stay with him, stay with him. And then grounding that left leg first, letting that left leg go to sink, to give them the cue it's time to let go, it's time to receive. Matching arms, finding a powerful tabletop pose, and then feather stroking off the feet, flicking the energy, giving just a couple breath cues. We're going to come to the head. This is the very, very beginning of a session. They've come off of the mountain, off of a busy day, busy life. I'm going to slowly, dramatically bring the head scratcher. You can come closer to the ear if you want. We're going to offer up some affirmations, kind of more specific to the feet. All right, Dre, I want you to take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, relax your jaw. Take another slow, deep breath in. Allow your entire body to melt. Good. Take a slow, deep breath in. And I want you to send that breath all the way down to your feet. We're going to be recharging the feet today, and I want you to send all your oxygen down your feet this entire session. Your feet need your attention, they need your oxygen. And take another slow breath in. Perfect. Send all that good energy to your feet. Thank you for the foundation of this body. Thank you for all the places these feet have taken this body. You have created an amazing foundation for yourself. Good. And take a deep breath in. You might walk by the instruments and play some of the chimey chimes. And then we're going to kind of assume that they're coming off of the mountain and it's kind of chilly and they've been walking and they're outside in Vail. So the first thing to establish trust with the feet is some heat. Just be able to take off that chill. We obviously keep the rooms pretty warm, but we're gonna open up this sequence with some beloved heat. We're gonna grab the medium towel, allow the heat to go on tops of the feet, all the way up to the gastroc. One towel at a time to create a little more anticipation, a little more dramatic effect. Slowly unveil the heat and then stay with them. We're gonna come into forearms, almost like a forearm stand, and allow your entire forearms and palms to palm and penetrate the heat into the body. Take a slow stack of shoulders over the elbows. Let the heat sink in. And then slowly palming to straighten the arms. Slowly to stack wrists below the shoulders. Doing a nice gentle warm up. Continuing down, palms into the arches of the feet. And I'm internally rotating my palms. And then the towel starts to lose its heat. So we're gonna do one more pass of the heat up on the gastrocs. Awesome. And slowly peeling away the heat. Next, we're gonna bring in the contrast, is the cold. So we're gonna bring in the icy cold of the deep blue, about 2/4 worth. It's very powerful medicine. We're gonna contrast their experience with a little bit of ice. We're gonna start on the Achilles, one hand at a time. And then as you stroke up, you're gonna come into that tabletop. Knees are starting onto the mat. And then slowly we're gonna tuck the toes under. And as we're stroking, we're gonna experiment with holding on to that heel and slowly allowing our knee to come into the arch. I'm on the tops of my feet, and my feet are pushing actively off of the earth. If, for example, I flatten my foot, I wouldn't have as much control over this compression. So I keep my toes tucked, and I'm thinking pressing my knee in towards the direction of his pelvis. And then I'm gonna slowly match knees. I'm gonna stay on my toes, I'm staying low, my hips are low, my hips are back. And then just take your time once you're here to feel what it's like to have your knees on your partner. A great confidence boosting moment is your partner giving you the feedback of how much pressure it is. A lot of times the first time putting your knees on the arches seems like it might be too much. So Dre, if you were to give this a number, what number would you give it? 10 being the deepest and 0 being Reiki.
3 or 4.
3 to 4, yeah. So we are still in the warm-up land. So warming up, keeping knees onto the arches. I want you to play with the concept of both forearms coming down and then playing with the concept of tabletops. So pressing hips up to stack over the knees. This is a more powerful position. My feet are still actively tucked, and then slowly palming up to the gastroc. Bisecting the gastroc heads in half. We're gonna linger here and play with body mechanics of tabletop. Try to avoid shoulders going over the wrists. That's gonna be too much strain on your wrists. So keep them either stacked or out of stack. Playing with balancing your weight. If you ever need to go into it, we're going slow stack, so we gradually stack the weight. And then if you feel like it's ever too much weight and pressure for your partner, your client, you just sink the hips back towards your heels. And it's like a slow abort. Awesome. Now that we've kind of warmed up some deep blue, let it sink into the skin, got the sides of the heels, gonna like one knee off, the other knee off slowly. Gonna grab 2 rocks. Gonna start with rocks in the bubbling springs point, kidney 1, which is just below the heel in the middle. And I love pointing out this point because it's super powerful for fatigue, and the positive attribute is spiritual rejuvenation. So if someone's just feeling really down, fatigued, this is a great way to penetrate positive energy back into them. And then once you've done the bubbling springs point, letting yourself palm slowly, cat-like palming, shifting the weight. I'm even pressing my forearm into the heel, and then leave that stone. And then we're gonna hit the bubbling springs point one more time, but with our elbow. I'm gonna scoot back a little more, come into a comfy child's pose. I'm gonna externally rotate this to give myself that space and that angle to come in to bubbling springs. I'm gonna slowly let that elbow sink in. It's anchored, it's not going anywhere. And I'm gonna match on that other side. Stay in that point And then you can either bring palms together and almost like pushing your elbows, pushing your triceps away from you. Or you can practice having palms on your shoulders. And then the other point I would love you to practice is right at the attachment of adductor hallucis. It's in charge of the arch of the medial side. It's right before the first metatarsal. It can be really sensitive, so just allow your elbow to sink really slowly to liberate the inner arch. And checking in with your partner, you can ask them to give you a number about pressure. All right. Good, so we're still in warm-up land. And we're in trying to increase blood flow land before we get even more into the world of deep tissue. Coming with the blunt edge of the rock, we're gonna hit the bubbling springs point one more time. Getting that heat to really penetrate into the arches, leaving one more stone on the Achilles. We've got this beautiful contrast between deep, cooling blue and the hot, hot rocks, establishing trust, getting their feet nice and warm first. And then after the temperature shifts, we're gonna add a little more texture now by doing a little roughness. The most yang part of the foot is the heel, so we're gonna start on that point. And I want you to just have fun with this part. Just imagine you're a slow hedgehog taking its snail-like journey, and even coming to the sides of the feet. All of the lateral edge that we were walking on earlier is also very yang, so it can take a lot of more aggressive yang massage. And then I usually avoid the toes, and I'll do the arches. Definitely hit the heels, maybe one pass of the ankles. Going slow with your hedgehog. It's actually a durian. And then once you've added that texture, gonna bring in a little more blood flow. And since we're changing now the frequency quite a bit, I'm gonna invite Dre to take a deep breath in. And I want you to send that breath all the way down to your feet. And then we're just gonna stay on the arch point, the entire aponeurosis of the foot, staying there and then slowly increasing the frequency with the pure wave. So about medium to high, and then dramatically adding in the second one. Just warming up the arches, getting more blood flow in there.
What would you do if someone reacts to be extremely ticklish?
So this is a good question. With the slow warm-up, you can definitely build that trust so that they're not as ticklish. And then if they were not responding super well, you saw they were tensing up their body, we would fade out the pure wave. Yeah. So once you've gotten some good blood flow in there, I'm gonna practice a downward dog onto the feet as a way to kind of slowly, gradually come into a deeper position. So I'm gonna face away, I'm gonna ground my palms, I'm gonna walk towards my receiver, and then allowing my heel to go in first, the bubbling springs point, high arch just below the heel. I'm gonna let that weight of my right leg ground in, staying solid in 3 points. I'm gonna slowly come into downward dog onto the other side. And then you can walk your hands further away if you want, bringing head between the biceps, just holding some nice, good, consistent pressure here. You can walk your dog out, and then after you practice down, we're gonna come into forward fold. Slowly walking hands towards your feet, take a forward fold. And then normally we'd have this swing in the studio, but we're gonna practice using balance to come to standing. And then when you're standing, just see if you can kind of look straight ahead. The tendency is going to be to like strain your neck and look down. Just see if you can keep your chest open. Gaze forward. Maybe palms at your side. Maybe palms at your side. Or maybe keeping active shoulders. And then if you were to give this a number, Dre.
Like 4 or 5.
Nice. So practice a couple walks and then slowly walk off your partner. 1 foot at a time. One more time, coming down to the arches with your knees. Staying on the tops of the feet. Then we're gonna slowly palm up the legs with our hands, slowly taking off the stones. Every canvas is gonna be different. Yep. So take one more tabletop and then take at least one down dog onto the hamstrings before you move on. You can linger here in like a child's pose, but then from child's pose coming up slowly. And I'm really just taking the semi-tendinosus in half with my palm, just bisecting that muscle in half, knees levitating off, and walk out your dog. Come to slowly back down, knees into the feet. Then we're just gonna feather stroke off the body. It's fun to also kind of play with that concept of bowing the head, because a lot of times in massage we have to be so stacked all the time. So kind of luxuriate, give yourself that practice of like, okay, what's it like to massage in child's pose? What's it like in your tabletop? And maybe you do like a couple cat cows, maybe some, arches of the spine, kind of like feel what feels best in your body and kind of playing with those kinds of major poses. Tabletop, child's pose, maybe take a dolphin, practice your forearm balance, and then practice down dog on the feet, standing on the feet. Feel free to share back numbers of pressure. And then, we'll do one more demo on prone, but that one's prone segment numero uno.